technologies. So my role is basically to go to conferences, talk about Unity, talk about new features that are coming out. And today I want to talk to you about Cinemachine, which is technically a new feature, not necessarily new. It's actually an asset that was for the asset store for years, and then recently Unity has bought it, has hired the guy who was developing it, and now it's going to be integrated into the engine. So for now, Cinemachine is still on the asset store for free, and you still need to pull it from the asset store, but you will be able to find it inside Unity in future versions. Again, that's what I was supposed to say. So it's available in the asset store, and who has used Cinemachine here? Or who knows what it is? More or less, okay. So Cinemachine it's a system of intelligent cameras to basically, rather than having to do the camera work yourself, so write like movements of cameras, blending between different cameras and different shots, you choose the shots and Cinemachine does the work for you. Take it like this for now. I'm gonna demonstrate it later. So for this reason, Cinemachine is great for cutscenes. It works really fine with timeline. So you create a timeline, you create your shots, and then you just place them on the timeline, and then as the timeline plays, you see different shots. But it's also great for in-game cameras. So whatever is gameplay, a character that moves in the scene and you want the camera to follow, a vehicle that drives very fast and you want the camera to follow, but also follow the heading. That's all Cinemachine. Cinemachine is great for that. So again, I'm going to use this RTS to show you a practical use of Cinemachine in gameplay. So again, same scene as before. This is an RTS, so let me show you how it works. If I just press play in the game. The camera. Actually, it's very fresh, directly into the build. So the game looks like this. It's a classic RTS, so I'm able to move the camera around, and I can select the units, and I can send the unit somewhere. But I still want control of the camera, so because maybe I want to go to the base and it's classic RTS stuff. So this is not a normal scenario where you just point the camera to a character and the camera just follows, because I also don't know how many units I will have, right? So yeah, this is the game. I want to attack these units, well, and the units do their own. They have their own AI. So if I go back to Unity, so how does Cinemachine work? Cinemachine works this way. Rather than having to create different camera objects, so you see this camera game object, it has a camera component. This is what it's looking at the scene, right? The interesting thing about Cinemachine is when you have different shots, instead of creating multiple cameras, you create what they're called virtual cameras, and then Cinemachine takes the actual camera, this object, and passes it around. So for instance, if I just create, so if you download Cinemachine, you get this menu here, and I can just create a virtual camera. So as soon as I create it, as you can see, the visuals here have changed, because this camera here is now pointing in the same direction. So this virtual camera, I'm going to call it virtual camera just for clarity. As you can see here in the inspector is a Cinemachine virtual camera, and I can move it around, and as I move it around, it will also move the point of view, because as soon as I created the camera, let me move here, the actual camera, the one that has the camera component, now has a Cinemachine brain component. So this is what does the reasoning, it's the brain of Cinemachine, right? I create one virtual camera, and then the brain is put on the actual camera, and it's the one that's going to do the movement.
So in fact, the brain changes the position.
The brain is what is changing the position of the camera, yeah. And in fact, you see here that the brain is telling us which camera is live. So it's now telling me that the virtual camera that I just created is the live camera, right? I can even show some debug text here. It's telling me that I'm looking through the eyes of the virtual camera. Now this virtual camera, I can move it around, and I can assign here a look at and a follow. So if I just put this to hard constraint, then this camera won't move. But if I choose, for instance, this unit here, so I want to look at this unit which is called Karen, it's not my name. So I select the camera and assign Karen as a look at, and immediately the camera points at Karen. And now if I move the camera around, you can see it's following Karen all the time. Oh, sorry. So I can move the camera further, and I can choose the shot that I want, and it's looking at this character. So if I press play, and I choose this character and I move it around, the camera is gonna look at it. Okay? It's a very slow character. If I want the camera to move with the character, so instead of the look at, I will assign the camera to the follow, actually also look at, and then these two, you see these two blocks, they control the look at and the follow. So if the look at is assigned, through the aiming, I can decide how to look at the object, and if the follow is assigned, then through the body, I can define how the camera moves. So in this case, for instance, I want to use the transposer, and I want to be 20 units above and maybe 18 units below this character. And now the camera, as I press play, not only is going to look at the character, so not only is going to look at the character, but it's also going to follow the character. If I select it, then it's following the character and it's moving with it. And because of the settings here, it's also rotating, which is not necessarily what I want. This is more of like a action game camera, right? Then, Cinemachine has many more options. I mean, now I'm just giving you a very quick overview. For instance, here in the aiming, if I choose composer rather than hard constraint, then I can actually have, I left the colors to the maximum. Yeah. So if I enable these guides, I can actually choose how to follow the character. So I can define like a tolerance area. And now if I press play, and I select the character and I send it here, it's really not the behavior I want. Let me remove the follow. So now if I select the character and I send it here, you see the camera doesn't move, and then it starts moving as soon as the character exits this soft zone, let's call it, right? The dead zone. So you see I can move down, and the camera is not following. As soon as I exit the dead zone, it starts following. So that's why the camera is intelligent, because you can define these dead zones, you can define these limits here, which are the hard limits, and then here, through the damping, you can define the sloppiness. So now the camera is actually going to be, it's going to follow like even slower. So through all these parameters, you can, frame the action, frame a character, follow him around by just rotating, or you can follow the body of the camera. And it has many more options. As you can see, there's group composer, there's frame transposer, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go into deep depth now because there's a lot of them. But I want to create a dynamic camera for my RTS. So as I said, I can have many different units. So I don't want to frame one unit, I want to frame something that can move around. Wow. So rather than having just the virtual camera follow one character, I want to create an empty object going to put it here, and I call it dummy because it's an empty object. Actually, let me use this one. So it's just an empty object, invisible. I have a sphere renderer, but I can turn it on and off, but it's gonna be visible. So I want to point the camera at the empty object. So it's virtual camera, rather than pointing at a specific character, I point it at the object. So I choose the gameplay dummy as a follow and as a look at. Now I can choose transposer, so I can look from above. So now the camera is going to follow this empty object around, you see? And now I can also, I have a camera manager. When I press the key buttons, it moves this object around. So I'm assigning the gameplay dummy to the manager, and the manager will just move it around. It just uses a simple translate, so transform.translate. So now it should work if I press play. Twice. So you see now I press left and right and the camera follows. Which is what I want. Maybe, now I can adjust the height of the virtual camera, so I can do it from here, depending on the height that I want and on the angle that I want. Actually here I don't need the composer, I need the hard constraint, so I can be on the gameplay dummy all the time. So yeah, now I have this camera moving around. But then, what if I want some kind of zooming? Because in RTS, maybe you want to look at the action from afar, but maybe it's also interesting to zoom in at some point. So I could program the zooming at this point. I could program something that when I scroll the wheel, it goes into maybe the virtual camera and changes these parameters. So it does something like this, but I will need to change both the Y and the Z, or I will need to change maybe the field of view, right? And that's an option, but I want an extra control over this zoom. And Cinemachine, luckily, it gives us another kind of rig, which is called free look. So the free look is, if I create one, and I assign the gameplay dummy to the free look. The free look looks like this. It looks like 3 circles, and basically what it allows me to do is to move the camera all around the object by using these controls. So the free looks already comes with these axis controls, and then I can just use these controls to move the camera around. So you just assign an axis from the input manager, and then the free look already works. In this case, I only want the zooming functionality, so I only want to go up and down. So in this case, I can assign basically, I will use this axis here, mouse scroll, which is tied to the scroll wheel. So if I go into the free look and I assign this on the Y, and then I remove the X because I don't want the camera to move around, I just want it to go up and down. And then I need to customize this free look, so I can assign in the body. So the free look camera has 3 rigs. You see these 3 circles, 1, 2, and 3. So it actually has like 3 cameras, and then it blends between them. So I can have the top rig, like here, way higher. So that's how it looks like. And you see now the circle is way wider and higher. And then I can adjust the other 2 rigs. So once I adjust the 3 circles, if I press play, That's what I have. I can move it around as before, but then with the mouse wheel, I can go from here to here. You see? It's like having 3 different cameras, one bottom one mid one, and one top one that can have different properties. So for instance, I can possibly select here at the top rig, I can choose like I have to choose this one different sets, and then at the top rig I can have a wider angle, and as I press play, if I blend in, Cinemachine will blend to a different field of view. So yeah, this is the free look camera, but I'm basically, instead of using all the power of like the whole sphere, I'm just using one axis to go up and down. Let me just use the one I made as a prefab. So, because this one is already configured. Yeah, this is a much more decent camera. So you see now I'm tracking the action from here, I can select the units, and then I can zoom in and see the action from nearby, but I can still select the units. So the camera is the same, which gives me an advantage, because if I program something in camera space, then nothing's going to change. Like the calculations that I'm doing for these selections are the same, which is something that's, you know, a pain when you have multiple cameras and then you have to tell the input manager which camera to consider, while here the camera is always the same. The other advantage is that if I have anything on the camera, like post effects, like in this case, I only need to apply them once, and they work because the camera is the same. So next step in the thing, I want a camera that can follow a whole bunch of units. So what I can do is Cinemachine allows me to create something called target group. So if I create a new object, an empty one, and I bring it here again. So I'm going to disable, actually I'm going to delete this virtual camera because we don't need it anymore, we're using the free look now. So this one is going to be our target group, and I can use the target group here. So target group, the only thing that it does is it has a list of objects, and then if I use this small group, right? John, Sergey, and Lisa. I can assign these things as targets, and then the target group will basically find the center of the group, and then because it finds the center of the group, and you can see that it's already doing it. So if I move this unit here, then the target will be here. So by finding the center of the group, then I can use this target group as a look at and as a follow for the camera. So I can possibly now press play, and all the rules from before apply. So I can zoom in and out, but I can select these units, and if they go away, the target is going to try to keep them in the frame. You see, it's always aiming here. But still, I can do my zooming, and I cannot move it anymore. But anyway, 1 minute. So basically, through this target group, I can have a camera that follows multiple targets and tries to keep them all in the frame. So now, I'm basically using a script here to produce like different versions of the code, so don't worry about that. Now I have the free look. I want basically now to blend these two behaviors. One way to move the camera with the arrow keys, but then I want a way to be able to frame just a group when I select it, right? So if I bound the key G to this group selection. So what I'm going to do is the free look camera I'm going to point it at the dummy again, so I gain again the possibility to move it. No, actually, sorry. I'm going to look at the target group. So the thing here is I could bind the free camera to the dummy, but then I will need to swap the targets all the time. So what I want to do here is, instead of swapping the targets, I reuse the target group, and I use it at the beginning. I just use it with the dummy. So the group is the dummy. So the group is exactly where the dummy is, and I'm pointing at the. Okay, my time is over.
Just we have time for questions. So
How much time for questions?
Just 5 minutes. So just a few questions.
Okay.
So we can use it to finish, but then our questions will be there.
All right.
Yeah. Because
do you have a question? I think it's better to go into questions.
switch the question.
To switch to the questions, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So, do you have questions of what I said? I think it's more important to.
Yeah, that was address some.
Yeah.
So guys, you have some interest in
Yeah.
What if the game characters, like in any of these RTS, are generated dynamically? So here you just put the existing characters as a virtual character.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that, but it's actually dynamic. So, yeah, if I think it's already working. So if I press play. So you see now, for example, if I have these characters, and if I select them, they're inside a selection, inside of like an array. If I press G, I'm using them as the targets for the group. So I switch between the invisible objects, which is the one I use to move around, and if I press G, they are fed into the target group. So the target is now framing those characters, and because the camera is using the target, then it goes to the characters. So now if I move around, then I can enable like more units, right? And I can select all of them, and then if I press G, I need to press G, and then the target group is now looking at all of them.
Yes, and even if the units were produced to here, they will do that array.
This array is just transformed.
But how do you find the center of array? Is it like a mass center? If like we have 10 units here and 5 here, will the center be somewhere to the left?
So the target group is a Cinemachine script. I haven't made it, so it comes with Cinemachine. You see, you can find the group average or the group center.
It's adjustable.
Yeah, and then each one of these targets can have a weight. So if it weights more, it means that the center will be more towards that character, because maybe it's more important for you to frame that one.
If it's group center, weight doesn't make right? It's group center. If it is center, again, or it's still.
No, it still matters. It's just two ways to calculate the center. Like I think the center is just the sum of all coordinates divided by the number, while the average is more like in the proper center. I'm not sure about the algorithm behind. I mean, you can try it and see which one fits better.
Is Cinemachine open source?
Yes. So as you download Cinemachine, you get a bunch of these components. You can apply them, but they're all inside here, and then you have all the sources in here. I actually made one modification to Cinemachine the other day, and now the developers implemented the modification in the release. Because it's still on the asset store, so it just goes on the asset store.
time for another one question, the last one.
I'm just wondering, what do they use for the circles around it? Is it right random or
it's a quad. So it's a selection.
right random?
Oh yeah, it's a spread random. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why I use a spread random.
Yes, we have a similar issue, but yeah, but we used mesh with shape to make it like a full field. Not full field, but for example, if you have half of health,
Yeah. Like something like the UI allows you, right? Like the UI allows you to select.
Yeah, we need the same, but we use shape.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.